Hi everybody, I'm here this afternoon with Baz. Baz, hello there, my darling. Explain your channel on BitChute, because obviously you're a big channel on BitChute.
Well, I do have that. I have a couple of other channels, but BitChute is my main channel. I do like BitChute personally.
So for everybody, what's your channel called?
The Self-Preservation Society.
Yeah. And you sent me this poster. I put it out on the Facebook group. Welcome all spirit talks and discussions. Do you want to explain a bit more about your poster you sent me?
Yeah, I've been invited to put on some talks at a pub that I often go to on a Wednesday for lunch with my mum, the Checkers at Peckham, just outside Canterbury. And originally they approached me, asked me to put on a spiritual evening, doing readings, this, that and the other.
And so you actually do that as well, do you? You're a bit of a...
Yeah, but I don't do it, since I've been on this journey and started in 1984, I've only ever stood on a platform 3 times, I think, to demonstrate clairvoyance, and that was because somebody had let them down or whatever. I'd rather work on a one-to-one with individuals, and I said this to Paula and Steve at the Checkers, and I suggested that I might relaunch my talks there, which I haven't done since before COVID got shut down because of COVID, and so that's what we're going to try. And it says there in the first box near the top, I share knowledge and awareness of, or try to share knowledge and awareness of how the world runs, why it runs that way, and I try to offer solutions.
Yeah, because I think what it is we live in a fantasy. We don't talk enough about death, but I know it's not everybody's favourite subject. But we live in a fantasy up until then, because then we don't have to think about that. And, when you watch the TV, that's fantasy. Everything's fantasy. We live in fantasy. But on your last video, you were talking about basically showing that life is so much deeper than that. It just is, isn't it?
Well, it is, and death itself is a fantasy. There is no such thing as death in the way that we're led to believe it. All there ever is change. In order for us to incarnate here, we have to, that which I am, the soul, has to come from somewhere else. And the only way to do it is through the feminine, who is the only one that can do this. We can all open portals up to other dimensional realities, but it is only the female of the species that can open a portal up in order to allow new life to form. Everywhere in nature, you see this, and death is merely, in order to live here, you must, by definition, have had to die somewhere else in order to live here.
Also, I did some hangouts with James. He's James Brockhurst. When you're pregnant, the baby lives in water for 9 months, and then it has to sort of die to be born here, even from the womb, because it's living a different way in there, and then that way goes for it to be able to breathe air and live here.
That's right. He's got a very valid point. So we go through all these different things, and the point that I try to get across more than anything is the most important part of all of that is the soul. The spirit is a corruption, a counterfeit of the soul. The mind, the ego, and the physical form are merely ways that those that rule us and subjugate us keep the soul in a perpetual reincarnation cycle in order to harvest its energy, frequency and vibration. You know, we, when incarnated, have to, in order to continue living, ingest the energy of some other sentient being, whether it be a carrot, a chicken, a glass of water, breathing air. Everything is sentient, and that's how the universe works. In simplistic terms, you know, by harvesting, utilising and ingesting the energy of some other sentient form. And on a real deep level, you know, when we understand this, or seek to understand it, we can do what Neo done in the Matrix.
Can I ask you something? What you do, this spiritual side, do you think anybody can do it?
Everybody can do it. Everybody can do it.
Because I've done it years ago, but I kind of walked away from it a bit because, you know, most people don't live in that world. They live here on Earth, and spirit world's a bit different. But I brought people through for people, and it was a bit weird because, you know, as a human here on this plane, I'm quite emotional and stuff, but when that stuff comes in, it's almost as if you've watched the television. So you can explain EastEnders, you can explain that, so it's explaining something. And I was so shocked. It doesn't mean anything to Karen, but it's come into Karen. So I tell it, and then someone in the group went, "That's mine." And then and they asked me what her name was. Her name was something like Marjorie. And she said, "That's my aunt." And I couldn't believe it because it didn't mean anything to me. You know, I didn't have any history of it. It's just what's in my mind.
Let me explain to you it from this perspective. Many years ago, on this path that I'm on, and when I, looking back, see it as a conscious awakening, I was, you know, what brought me into this was spirit and spiritualism, this, that and the other, and the awareness that life is eternal. I didn't understand it back then in 1984. It's something that's, you know, I've come to greater awareness of as my journey goes on. But, you know, the spirit world is as much a prison as this, what we call the prison planet. There is no difference save the physical avatar body, what houses the soul, which then creates a spirit for that incarnation. The more I go on this journey, the more I learn. I say to people, if you don't go within, go without. Spirit is as much a trap.
Oh, I like that. I like that so much because, you know, I've written poetry and thing, and people always say, "Oh, you're so deep." But you have to be deep to understand it all. But anyway, carry on.
The spirit world is as much a trap as this physical form and the five sense prison and the mind and the ego.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have said this a few years back, but
because you know what I think? I think some of them on that spirit thing. Oh dear, what's that? Someone's trying to call me. I'll just cut that call. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I feel that they're more like they could be vampires anyway.
Well, that's exactly what they are. Because the spirit world is not a natural aspect of the universe. You know, when, you know, and this is coming from someone who has, since 1984, relied directly and indirectly so much on spirit. Spirit is merely a counterfeit, a corruption of the true essence of the universe and the true essence of the soul. They're the only natural things. What Castaneda called the predator mind, or the Gnostics called the archons, come from outside to harvest the energy, frequency and vibration of the universe. And in doing so, lots of things happened. And one of them was that which come from outside was just spirit. It didn't have the conscious awareness that the universe is in all its forms. And so harvesting the energy, frequency and vibration and corrupting the universe brought in a duality, and everything is dualistic now, and there's duality upon duality upon duality. But I can assure you on all I hold dear, somebody that owes so much to spirit can now see through the spirit. And you often hear people's the term a spiritual possession. They're under spiritual possession, this, that, and the other. Well, we all are to a greater or lesser degree, and that's why we're so easy to control. All the while we're under this spiritual possession, whether it be in your face or subliminal or whatever.
Hey, Bazz, when I was a bit more into, probably a bit more, this is past, years ago, I picked up this book, and it was called A Little Light on Ascension, and it explains in there that if you don't want all this stuff, you don't see, you probably get a spirit guide that stays with you, but if you wake up, your spirit guides, there's loads of them. There's like an army behind you. If you understand that. But if they're not good spirits, then they're just not directing you correctly, are they? I think they're there because sometimes you think, well, why has it said don't go that way, sort of thing, or it brings up a picture, and then when it happens, you realise, oh, that's what that was about. You realise what that little bit of information that came in was actually meaning don't go that way, get stuck by the train or something. You know, there's a reason. You know, they are there. I think they're there.
Do you know what spirit guides are, Karen?
Go on then, explain it. Because I viewed them once as spirit guides. Go on then, what?
Well, there's often you will hear mediums, etc., especially talk about spirit guides and spirit helpers. They're two different things. Spirit guides are no more than incarnations you, the I am, the soul, has had before. The soul is multidimensional, multifractional. And all your spirit guides are lives that not you, Barry or Karen, but you, the soul, has led before, or is leading now in another reality, another time, whatever, another dimension. Spirit helpers, I pay more attention to spirit helpers because they come from outside of your own individual soul's group, and so they have a vested interest in you getting it right. You, whoever you are today, getting it right. When you get it right, you can bring all that you are, and I'm talking about the I am, the soul, into one. I hear many people, you know, I've said a couple of times in my broadcast, I was introduced to a woman from west of me down Sussex way because of the person that introduced us knew I had this background in Native American stuff. So she introduced me to this woman, and this woman, one of the first things she said to me was, her spirit guide is Sitting Bull. And so I said to her, oh yeah, which one? She said, what do you mean, there was only one? I said, no, there wasn't. But she had to have the Sitting Bull that everybody in Lakota and those that know a bit about those people call Tatanka Yatanka, which means Sitting Bull. But I said to her, they name their children after their relatives just the same we do. I said, but you're laying claim to having the great Sitting Bull of the Lakota Nation. And I think he was from the Hunkhapa tribe of the Lakota. It might have been the Oglala, I can't remember. But she's laying claim to that. And it's all about fecking ego, right? It's all about ego. And I fell out with two mediums in the last few months, one of which has got an amazing gift for direct voice, but she'd done a presentation for Christmas, and a guide with direct voice spoke through her, and he wished everybody a happy Christmas. right? Christmas is not fucking real. It is something that has been created for us in order for us to focus on. And to hear a spirit guide wishing those here Merry Christmas, that is a corruption and bastardisation of the solstice, one of the natural cycles that we go through. And everything outside of us is designed to keep us from being natural and acting naturally. So whether it be Christmas or whatever, so me and her fell out. She said to me, she said, well, it might have been my consciousness. I said, so you're admitting you wasn't under full control then? And with that, she blocked me. Another medium down in the West Country maintains that her spirit guide, she does psychic art, is Leonardo da Vinci. And I had a debate with her, a conversation with her on the phone. Leonardo da Vinci done so much while he was here in the physical, taught us so much, and you've only got to go and have a look at his work, and now he's sitting there in the spirit world somewhere, drawing dead people for people here. Not a good use of resources, I feel. And, you know, so when I see things like this, it tells me more and more of the fragility and of spirit and people's interpretation of spirit. But it's easy to do so, to get caught in that trap and not go any further to the true self, the I am, because spirit will provide for all your wants. The universe has always provided for all my needs. And if your wants are material, etc., you know, the spirit will feed your lust and whatever. Because we're all under a spiritual possession, thinking we are holier than thou, love and lighters and whatever. And everything I talk about these days and have done for a while is about transcending the spiritual self after we've transcended the mind and the ego and the 5 sense prison to the true self, the I am. And I will continue on that theme because, you know,
do you know something? If children were taught this kind of thing or understood all this around them as children, everybody would be so different. It's usually drummed out of you by free, and then you end up treating the world. You know, if you don't trust anybody, you're not even going to trust a counsellor. You don't, you know, and sometimes, you know, when people get hit, okay, it's negative, but it's still attention, and people want attention. It goes on, and I just, you know, for me, I thought, you know, when I was a kid, even though around me wasn't that good, it was all, I don't know, I think this stuff comes with you as a kid, and it didn't leave me.
Of course it does. You know, the Jesuits say, give me a child till it's 7, and they know within that 7 years, they can program the child for the rest of its life, right? And that's what our education system does, news, media, this, that, and the other. It's all part of that, that programming, that spiritual control and domination, so we do not focus on the true self. That's what it's about. It's what life has taught me, and because I speak like this, especially with people in spiritualism and people that maintain that there's spiritual beings here having a human experience and this, that, and the other.
You know what though, Bazz? You know, we do live on this plane right now for however long we live, and it is much better to be at home in yourself and know who you are, because it makes you make different decisions. You're just a different person when you know who you are. When you don't know who you are, and you haven't done that inward journey which you're talking about, life's just hell.
That's right. And when you make that inward journey, or when you attempt to make it, as I continue to do, life is still hell, but you have a modicum of control over that hell. I know I have. That's what life has taught me. This thing called hell, however you want to describe it, I now have a modicum of control over it instead of being controlled by it.
Do you think one of the lessons is that we have an authentic self, and that's where you should be heading to, your authentic self, and the rest is, like you said, programmed, good and bad? Because, you know, we had this guy who did about education. He's from New Zealand. His name was James. He was talking that you think you're giving wisdom to people, but you're not. You're actually giving them your anxiety. And people haven't even realised that because they think it's wisdom, but it's not. Somebody else's anxiety.
You're absolutely right. He's absolutely right. You know, and, you know, there's a few major points that are really prominent in my life and things that I talk about. I'll talk about the Fika virus. That's the only virus we should worry about. Fika, F-I-C-A, fear, ignorance, compliance and apathy.
Yeah, very good.
Sorry?
Very good.
Wherever you look in your life, the chances are one or more of those principles are controlling you. There is no death. You know, nature shows you that no caterpillar has ever died in order that a butterfly should live. They're one of the same. Nature shows you that in your true self, there's a frog in South America, I think it's South America, that if the environment dictates, then the frog can change its sex. If there's 10 or 12 males and maybe only one female in a group, then one of those males can change its sex to become a female.
Wow.
That can bring forth life. Science shows you this. The soul has no gender. There is no gender to the soul. There is only gender to the experience of the soul, be that spiritual or physical. And all this transhumanism stuff that's going on now, I see this in a way that a lot of people don't. You know, all these pronouns and Christ knows what else. I see this in a way that people don't. You know, I am means I am. And if somebody born genetic male wants to express themselves as a female, or somebody born a female wants to express themselves as a male, all well and good. If they want to say I'm a cat, let them get on with it. That's their journey, right? The fact that we're all arguing over that is part of the psychological operation that is multifaceted, that keeps us arguing with each other instead of finding who we are. Anything that stops us finding who we are, and I talk about the I am, the soul, the source consciousness, then it's a psychological operation. And it works very, very, very well.
Baz, I feel the same. I feel everybody can be who they want to be. But what I don't like is the complete lie about it. Just tell us the truth from the beginning. That's why I make my videos and show that things are just lies. You can't just be watching Clint Eastwood. I can slow the footage down and see all the lines appear one by one on his face. Like, how can you do that? I can't slow it down that much. You know, it's because everything is not real. That's what I don't like. It's the lies. We want to live in a real world.
You said this at the beginning of this conversation about reality and this, that, and the other. Now, when you're living a lie, it's very hard to see the reality beyond that lie. And everything we focus on outside of ourselves is designed in such a way to keep us from finding out who and what we truly are and the reality of self. Everything outside of us is a lie. You know, you look, everything is solid and this, that, and the other. It isn't on a atomic
Do you know,
level.
there is one problem with this though, because most people around you just don't get this journey, and they're stuck on what they believe is real in the news. And you know, my dad's really ill at the moment and taking all this medication, and his heart's not working properly, and now he's living in the kitchen, and I'm really upset. You know, and I can't do anything because they don't believe what I believe, and it can't just start today. It would have had to have started years ago. It's too late now, and I just have to listen and watch.
Karen, if I could give you one word of advice, and everybody else listening, it's this: faith, hope, and belief are the three keys to our enslavement. When you say they don't know what I believe, instead of say that, say they don't know what I know. You know, all the while you've got faith, hope, and belief, and they.
I've been trying to tell them for years, and then until recently, till my dad was really ill, he'd go, "Are you mad? Are you absolutely mad?" That's the way he viewed what I saw.
When you talk to your dad again, or anybody else, and you're explaining things to him, don't say, "This is what I believe, Dad. This is what I know." You know, because you've done the journeying, you continue to do the journeying. Your beliefs have given way to what you know, and you're developing a knowing about what you know. Jesus, the greatest anarchist in history that I know of, said, "Knowing the truth will set you free." He didn't say believing the truth and it will set you free. He said knowing the truth.
What do you mean? What do you mean, anarchist? Just for people who are really into Jesus as being part of this religion and stuff.
Jesus was never a religious character. he was made into a religious character in order to control people, and because of what's come from his life, they built this control mechanism around it, and they've made him out to be everybody's saviour, or those that believe in him. He's not your saviour. He was when he was here, and he left everything you needed. All the teachings are there. If you read what he said, you know, with new eyes to realise the real lies, he was an anarchist. He didn't believe in leaders. He believed in self-awareness, self-governance of the self, and that's what he taught. You know, and when he see that, see how people were trying to control others, whether it be the hypocrites that he called out, or the money lenders that he threw out, this, that, and the other. He's a great example to live by, but everybody that I know, especially Christians and whatever, they're followers, and if you're a follower, if you're following anybody other than yourself, then by definition, you're lost, because you're following. You don't know where you're going.
Some people have looked at the Bible and say that the Bible is a journey of yourself, and the crucifixion isn't him crucified. It's where your shoulders go up to your neck and brain, and it's how you get from your shoulders to your brain. And this journey's all in yourself. Is that what it is?
Yes, an allegorical story, and the two best people for me in the present day to give you an understanding of that are Bill and Joan Donahue at hiddenmeanings.com, and Paul Wallace at fifthkind.com. If you're really serious about understanding the Bible, then go to those two people. Bill and Joan Donahue, hiddenmeanings.com. Bill mainly focuses on the New Testament and the teachings, the hidden teachings in there, and he breaks it down. Wonderful, wonderful man. Paul Wallace, he's an Australian clergyman, and he teaches clergy, he has done for 30 odd years, how to interpret the Bible. And he talks, when I say this, the truth is written in stone. Everything, just about everything that's in the Bible was first written in stone. And they take the truth that is written in stone, and then they put it down on paper using words that they spell, and they hold you under a spell because you can't see, the spell of the words. You only read them literally as they are. You don't seek to really interpret the true teachings of them. Bill Donahue does this brilliantly, and so does Paul.
Because a lot of
Paul
people
Wallace.
don't believe he was quite a real person anymore.
Well, of course, what people don't know what to believe, and I say, bloody good job. Don't believe anything. Seek to know. The story of Jesus is replicated before he come along every 2,160 years. Mithra was another one. Exactly the same story, and I can't remember the others. I did do all this years ago. But every 2,160 years, a new saviour appears. Whether it be Jesus or Mithra or whatever. And it's exactly the same story. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God. And people interpret it as the S-O-N of God. It's not.
Oh, one second. My dog's just playing up. Hang on. Ellie?
This is a real conversation.
With Floss, she has to be in it, but she wasn't really meaning to be in our conversation. She's more interested in her walk. Yeah. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, so
the story of Jesus, which
it actually says in the Bible that it's allegory. It says it a few times.
Yeah, it is allegory, and when he said, "I am the Son of God," people write that down as S-O-N. No, S-U-N, Son of God or good. The 12 disciples represented the 12 astrological signs, etc., and all this, that, and the other. And that story is carried over from 2,160 years before he was born. Every 2,160 years, a figure like Christ.
So what does that mean? Have we missed the one that was supposed to be now then? Because there should have been another one then, shouldn't there?
No, Jesus was born 2,023 years ago. So we've got another 137 years before we actually cross over into the age of Aquarius. And before he left, he told them he was going. And when will you come back? When you see the man with the water pitcher, which is Aquarius. So he told you, this figure said, "I'll be back, and I'll be Aquarius next time." Before that, I was Mithra or whoever it was, And all of these things are natural events. Every 2,160 years, the precession of the equinoxes, this, that, the other turns, and we're heading towards, we're not there yet, we're heading towards the age of Aquarius, and then 2,160 years after that, we'll be heading to the age of Capricorn. These are all natural events, and 12 times 2,160 is 25,920, and that's the great year. And it seems infinite to us that are in this body that lasts for 3 school year and 10, according to the Bible. It seems infinite or whatever, but it is infinite. It's an infinite progression, because we don't know what it is to stand in the eternal now. And so we keep going around in cycles, through incarnation after incarnation after incarnation, because we don't know who we are. Wake up to who we are, and everything will change. Everything will change. And you ain't got to pray to anybody. When you pray, P-R-A-Y, you become the prey, P-R-E-Y. All you've got to do is what he told you to do. Let your eye be single. Know yourself. as I do, you can do also. I often challenge Christians when they say they're following Christ, and I say to them, well, what are you doing then? What do you mean? Well, his teachings are, let your eye be single, know thyself. As I do, you can do also in far greater things. What greater things are you doing than he done? And they always say, no, nobody could do anything greater than him. Yes, they can, because he told you, and nobody's doing it. If we was all doing greater things than what he done, actually following his teachings, we wouldn't be enslaved mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But we don't listen. We're not listening.
Yeah, in that Roman Empire. Egyptian Roman Empire that was still in.
Well, it doesn't matter how, to me, it doesn't matter how you configure it outside of you, what names and
Yeah, it's okay. I had a hangout with Claudio, and I was going, oh, but I worry whatever. See, I think, oh no, the next drama. So everybody's now going to believe that. But Claudio was going, but it's not real, sister. It doesn't matter what all that is, because it's not real. And you have to go, oh yeah, of course it's not real, but I just worry what everybody else is going to think.
Well, don't worry.
Yeah,
don't worry about the thing.
If we want people to change, we need to know they've woken up. And because they're always doing things, they just don't let go for a moment. Like every day there's something else to chew on that's not going to be good. It's all the time. Like, you know, they obviously got us ready with all the horror movies because, you know, when we were younger, what was it with Norman Bates? That was frightening enough. But now, so much CGI and it's all so frightening. I just don't think I ever want to watch a horror movie again. It's just, they're so horrible. You know, it got you watching those kind of things. I suppose the news doesn't look so bad, does it?
You ain't got to worry about anybody else waking up, right? What you've got to worry about, and, you know, to use that term is wrong anyway, but what you've got to concern yourself with is that you awaken to the true self. If you awaken to the true self, you will change, and those around you outside of you will see the change. If they resonate with that change, then you will find your soul tribe and you can help each other. But, you know, I'm going to do these talks, and I do these talks, and really I'm just speaking my mind to myself. If people listen and grab something from it, whether that be the talks I'm going to do or my channel, if they grab something from it, brilliant. But I'm merely expressing myself to myself, and if somebody benefits from that, then that's bloody wonderful.
Yes, Bazz. Bazz, can I ask you one thing? On here at the bottom, it says the checkers in, and it says Peckham, United Kingdom, CT. So what area is that then? That's not round. That's not Dover, is it?
Just outside Canterbury.
Canterbury. There you go. Yeah, so everybody in Canterbury area. United Kingdom, Canterbury. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm just trying to do my bit where I am. Wherever you are in the world, try and do your bit. If you've got something to offer, or you feel you have something to offer that can help free not only yourself, but those outside you from a prison, you may see, they may not see, then just do it. Walk your talk, and like I say, you will attract your soul tribe.
Yes, that's the good thing, yes. You kind of know when you meet people, don't you, that they either are or they're not.
Yeah, you do know, you know, or you can know. Not everybody does. If they're so indoctrinated and detached, disenfranchised from their true self, they don't always know. But
and also, people who are like that can't look at you.
No. You've got a point there, but it's for me, it all boils down to energy, frequency, and vibration. By their words, deeds, and actions, you will know them through their energy, frequency, and vibration, and that's how I live my life.
Yes. Sometimes, though, being here, I found it so miserable here that's how most people are. That's the vibration around me. That, I never thought, as a kid, I don't remember it being like this. I think things have quite drastically changed. And, I've talked about it before. A lot of people are very narcissistical now. And maybe we all are slightly, but these ones you don't want to go anywhere near. They wreck your life. And there's full of them. And when all that stuff's around you all the time, I look out and I think, I wonder how many people in my neighbourhood would understand anything I said. Would they be on the same bit as me? Do they believe what they're told? And it's like, I just wish actually I was more rural, so I didn't have to look at any houses.
Well, I often wish for that, but it's no different in the spirit world. What you are here is exactly the same as what you'll be when you're not here, and you're in the spirit world when you've cut the mortal cord. I remember reading years and years ago, back in the 80s, the Doris Stokes books, and Doris Stokes would, work big theatres all over the world, and you'd hear her say to people, give them messages from loved ones in spirit, and she'd say, they're sitting there having a cup of tea, they're all together. Nothing's different over there. It's your state of awareness and being. That is the important thing wherever you are. Whether it be here in the physical.
Yes. I've got this feeling though, a medium got in touch with my mum's mum, and she said she never wanted to come back here again. And it's not that I want to go. I've got people I really love here. But, sometime in the future, whenever it is, I don't want to come back if it's like this.
Let me tell you, it don't matter where you are, you don't separate yourself from the ones you love. If you transcend this, and you're no longer in the physical form, you haven't separated yourself from those here in the physical form. We separate ourselves from them because we're controlled by the five sense prison, the mind, the ego, the fear, the ignorance, the compliance, and the apathy. They're talking to us all the time, but we're not listening because we're controlled by this thing called what a lot of people call the matrix. And again, the matrix, the etymology of that word has been corrupted, or the word has been corrupted in order to control us and whatever. But the etymology of the word matrix, the original meaning is womb, uterus, or origin of source. And yes, the matrix has been...
yeah, and it's the complete opposite what we believe in, what the matrix is now. Yeah, that makes sense.
We feel we have no control over the matrix. That's the psychological operation. We feel we're indoctrinated and controlled and whatever to feel that the matrix controls us. It does because we don't know who we are. In its original form, the matrix is something we can control. But because we're controlled by greed, avarice, lust, desires, and this, that, and the other, we've given away that awareness of that control for short-term material gain.
Or only caring about oneself first, all the time.
One cannot understand what true care is until one understands it for the self. When one understands what true care is, and Mark Passio in his presentation from Philadelphia, I think it was 2014, the Natural Law Seminar, spoke for 8 hours, 56 minutes and a few seconds about about natural law, and in the end, he brought it down to one 4-letter word, and that was care. And until we can truly care for ourselves in a way that is devoid of ego and narcissism and all those other negative traits, we will never have true care for another, because we do not have true care for the self. Everything starts with the self. Care, love, self-respect, etc., etc. You can't give to another what you do not truly understand in the self. That's the truth.
Yeah, so that's why it's really important you understand yourself, because how can you do any of what you've said if you don't? Because you just can't, you'll know, you know.
Go within or go without.
Yeah.
And we always go without. You know, we're always going without. We think we're not going without because we got a nice car, nice house, and nice clothes, got a big telly on the wall. We think we're not going without, but we are going without, because our focus is not on the self. It's on everything outside of the self.
I kind of saw it as well. If you're not learning and growing, you die inside. That's what happens. We always need to be learning and growing anyway.
Yeah, of course.
You don't know everything, and you never will. But on the journey, you keep learning this and learning that, and that's, you know, what helps you. You know, if you've kind of woken up, that helps you as you go along. You just start seeing things differently.
If you are learning,
you spot things that you wouldn't have spotted before, and you could even watch a film. And something else you thought, wow, because you've moved along on your journey, and you watch it again and you think, oh, wow, I didn't notice that before.
That's right, that's greater awareness. But the greatest thing you will ever learn is what you don't know. That's the greatest thing you'll ever learn. You might, you know, I've become more and more aware of loads of things, but what I'm more aware of than anything is that which I don't know.
Yeah. You make it sound so simple, Bazz.
Well, it is simple, really. You know, when you sit and philosophise over it, think about it, and whatever, it is simple. Life is so simple, but because we're running around like blue-ass flies all the time, it's complicated. We make it complicated because we're controlled by everything outside of us. It's a brilliant system. It's an absolutely brilliant system, and all the while we're controlled by that outside.
There's always a system.
Huh?
There's always a system.
Because we give it life. We give the system life. It doesn't exist without our energy, and our energy we give to it knowingly, willingly, unknowingly, unwillingly, through our fear, ignorance, compliance and apathy, and it controls us. And it's bloody brilliant when you see that. You have to acknowledge the power of it, and you know, how all-consuming and whatever it is. But it's all down to us, because we give it the power. It has no power. It's like government has no money. It just administers our money. And money doesn't exist anyway, and neither does anything outside of us exist. It's only our perceptions that allow that which is outside of us to exist at the expense of who we are. You go to a tree, you hug a tree, and it feels solid. This and ever. You touch anything that's solid. But on an atomic level, science will tell you that 99.9% reoccurring of an atom is empty space. Things only seem real because we give it the attention. That's why things seem real, because we control in this corrupted matrix that harvests our energy, frequency and vibration. people will tell you that have seen what they call ghosts or spirits. They can walk through solid objects. They're not walking through solid objects. The objects are not solid. It's only our perception. And that's the construct of the third dimensional reality that is all consuming, that controls us.
I think what it is we're multi-dimensional inside our bodies, and I suppose the more you understand, the higher your spirit goes, so you could be multi-dimensional there, but our eyes can only see it. Our brain's different. You can be there, see it, smell it, eat it, watch it, but in our eyes, when we're looking out, we can only see in 3D, so that's the bit, because our brains can, you can meet someone, you can have a dream that you did this and went on a bus ride with that whatever it is, but it never happened, but you can make it in your dream, in your brain. But our eyes can only register what's happening, and that's in 3D.
Well, when you seek to go beyond that, which I give the tools for people to do that, and I've been doing that for years. When you go beyond that, it opens up a whole new reality. I've been teaching people to do that for years, and you can do it. We can all do it. And the only place to do it is here, whilst imprisoned in this physical form, controlled by 5 senses and the mind and the ego and the spirit. They showed us in the Matrix, Neo done it at the end. They showed you can all do it, we can all do it. But instead, we prefer to be entertained instead of entering within.
It's quite frightening. I mean, it happened for me when I was in my 20s. My marriage had broken down to my boy's dad, and there was just this hole there. And then somebody gave me a book to read, and it was a bit like a tin of baked beans popped open, and all the baked beans came out, and it took me 6 months. And in the end, my mind went back, and I got back to about the age of 3. And everything I thought was real, I saw quite differently, because I'd done some homework, and I didn't like a lot of what I saw either. It wasn't what I thought it was. And, some things really hurt me, but I had to do it, so I'm not afraid of myself now. I know who I am.
Good. I've been doing that, just about all of my life, knowingly, and for most of it unknowingly, but for the latter part of my life, the best part of 40 years or so, I've been doing it knowingly. And going within, dealing with all sorts of trauma, guilt, shame, this, that, the other, experiences, everything. I've been dealing with that, and I continue to deal with that. It's the only way that I can ascend. It's the only way anyone can ascend.
Yes. Yes. These talks, is this something that you want to get a bit more into, or is it just a one-off kind of thing? Because you just...
Oh, no. We plan to do it every Tuesday and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then we'll stop it. But if it works, people start to come along, then it's something to build on.
Yeah, good for you, Bazz.
And if you listen to my last 2 uploads, I've been speaking about it. It's the first time that anybody's invited me, like Paula and Steve have, to go and do something, and in this case it's going to be a talk. It's the first time anybody's invited me to do this on this level. I have done it, tried to do it a few times in the past on my own, hiring halls, this, that, and the other. And I'm more than happy to do it for them, because like many publicans, they're struggling so much, and if I can help them in this way, then I will. And that's a prime reason for doing it, is to help them keep that pub going and what have you. All the bills and everything going up now. I'm not doing it for financial gain or benefit. You know, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, and I do it for the right reasons.
Well, I'm glad that people like you are starting to go out, and it's probably better if there was a little bit of time between a few years ago and now. You needed a bit of a gap. It's good now. People are starting to go out again now, aren't they, and stuff, so... Yeah, I wish you good luck on that, because, you know, for me, it's been my journey as this spirit. I mean, I used to go to Spirit Group in Newbury, but once I'd done the bit where I had actually done some, you know, clairvoyance and stuff like that, and it didn't mean anything to me. I thought that was a bit strange, but I could see it and say it in my mind. And after that, I didn't know where to go with this spiritual thing. Nobody around me liked it, you know, my husband and, you know, all this, and it was like, oh, and, you know, nobody really lives in spirit world, so I kind of gave up on it a bit. But there was spirits at one of my houses, so
the spirit world is very limiting. You know, just the same as this physical world is. And if you go beyond the spirit to the true self, the soul, you know, it's a much better place. You know, I often quote Tesla when he says, "I am but a receiver for all that ever was, is, and will be." And we all are that. And if we can transcend the spirit after quietening the mind and the ego and seeing through the five sense prison, we'll get to the true self.
This is a horrible boot camp here. We just don't realise we're living in a boot camp.
It's no different in the spirit world. Trust me, it's no different in the spirit world. Wherever you are, if you're not coming to conscious awareness of the self, then nothing ever is going to change. We just keep going round, incarnation after incarnation, in infinite circles.
Yeah, well, we've been going for nearly an hour. What do you reckon? Do you want to finish, or do you want to talk about something else?
Well, I'm happy to do whatever you want.
Baz, what do you want to do? You can carry on for a bit longer if you want, but, you know, we've been going for nearly an hour, and we've talked about your truth and spirit talk and discussions. I mean, we could stop it there. It's good. It's promoting your evening and everything, isn't it? Or we carry on for a bit. What do you want to do?
What about we stop it there, and then perhaps sometime in the future we come back and talk about something else?
Perfect. Anyway, Bazz, it's quite amazing even our story, isn't it? Because you wrote something on my channel, and now we have some hangouts and stuff. Yeah, appreciate that, Bazz.
And I appreciate you. You're lovely to talk to, and you know, you put out some good work of your own. You and your partner. How is Mickey, by the way?
Yep. Well, he came to my house last weekend. He is limping a bit, but I suppose he's got to just work that limp a bit. Yeah, but he's good. I mean, obviously, he won't be running tomorrow or going on a marathon, and you know, sometimes it hurts, and sometimes, you know, you can't go that fast. But he seems to be doing good, considering it was only about 6 months ago, 5-6 months. It feels like a long time, but yeah.
Well, please pass on my best wishes to him, and
yeah. Well, he'll hear this hangout, so he'll be very appreciative that you brought his name up, because Mickey is a little, you know, he's always like, what about this, Karen? He sends me the stuff. And then sometimes, you know, we filmed it around his house, and yeah. So thank you.
I wish him well. I wish you both well.
Oh, thank you, Bazz, and you too, and your evening, you know, it sounds great.
Thank you. I sincerely hope it will be, you know, and everybody that turns up will get something from it, and that we can continue it.
Yeah. And that would be amazing. Well, I really hope it works for you. And yeah, we'll come back and have another chat. Oh, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, a month or two's time, and you'd have had this chat. And yeah, please. Anyway, there's the any way you can get in touch with Bazz and so forth, and the event. And thank you so much for coming on to chat about it.
Thank you for inviting me. I always enjoy our conversations.
Yes. Me too, Bazz. Even on a spiritual level. Yeah.
I wish you well, and may abundance be with you and yours.
Yeah, and you too. Don't go. We'll say goodbye afterwards, but for the hangout, thank you, Bazz, and thank you, chat room. Mwah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.